Hi everyone. Have you ever told a friend some interesting real story and he refused to believe it? Thankfully, in the modern world, almost everyone has a smartphone, and we've long been capturing memorable moments on our cameras. So you can always show evidence to back up your story. Today we will tell you about some amazing events. And believe us, you might want to share this video with a friend so that he could see it with his own eyes. Let's get it on. A mattress with a surprise. There is a common childhood fear of the monster hiding under the bed. Well, our first story is quite scary too, all because it's real. Here you can see the most common sleeping mattress. Old and shabby perhaps, but quite ordinary. It all starts when the guys in the video start ripping it open, and we can see the insides. There's a whole nest of giant snakes hiding in there. According to rough estimates, about 50 of them. The choice of such a place is quite obvious. It's warm, and the snakes are cold-blooded creatures, so the reptiles have to constantly look for warm and secluded places for shelter. Otherwise, they won't have enough energy to eat or move. In addition, when it gets too cold, the snake's immune system will simply stop functioning normally, so most likely it'll just die from a disease. In short, if you have a house somewhere in Australia, you have to check the warmest places in your home to avoid unpleasant discoveries. Scary whirlpool. Have you ever heard about sinkholes? If not, then we'll tell you about them. In some parts of the world, rocks dissolve very easily in water, which is how a very peculiar relief emerges. In fact, we're talking about depressions several meters in diameter. They look like a regular funnel that expands upward. By the way, at the bottom of such holes, you can often find real caves. Oh yeah, we forgot to mention, sinkholes appear when the rocks are dissolved by groundwater. Often you can find sinkhole ponds near a sinkhole. In this case, you can observe a very interesting phenomenon. The streams of water move, and all the things that come across along the way, even huge trees, are washed down to the bottom of the hole. It's really weird to observe the hefty trunk of a perennial plant being sucked into the abyss as if it were just a stick. The story of this particular sinkhole began in 2012 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. First, one of the local residents smelled gasoline in the air, and later, another person noticed a hole in the ground on the outskirts of the city. It was filled with weird-looking swampy water. Turned out the hole emerged after the collapse of an underground salt cavity, which was set up there by an oil company. And that would be fine, but the fumes from the fuel also got to the surface, which meant the locals were breathing poisoned air. In addition, there were serious concerns that a fire might occur near the crater, and then the city would face a powerful explosion. Since 2012, the company has been paying residents compensation for both material and moral damage caused by their irresponsible engineers. Dangerous selfie. No matter how convincing you are, your friends will not believe this story anyway. An ordinary girl went for a walk in the Cerro de Chapinque mountains in Mexico with her family. Locals and tourists favor these places, but during the pandemic, people stopped going there, so the animals living in the forest began to crawl out of their usual shelters much more often. That's how the girl stumbled across a huge bear. The animal appeared out of the thickets and started to get acquainted with the strangers. The video shows how a gigantic beast gets up on its hind legs like a man and sniffs the stranger while she takes a selfie with him, as if that's an everyday thing. You might wonder why she's so calm in such an extreme situation, though actually the girl did the right thing. If you come face to face with a predator, you need to behave this way, staying as calm as possible. No, hey. If you can't hide your fear and try to run away, you'll probably provoke aggression. The animal will understand that you're weak and attack. Domino collapse. Admit it, you like watching ASMR videos on the internet. We're not talking about those weird videos where people are constantly whispering or eating something next to a super sensitive microphone.
This weekend.
We mean visual techniques like cutting metal or destroying figures from kinetic sand. There are already hundreds of such videos, and their creators are becoming real celebrities on social networks. If you like this stuff, you'll also love our next story, even though it wasn't staged or created for the sake of likes and comments from subscribers. This story happened in China on one of the highways in Jinhua City. There, a 1.5 kilometer long fence folded like dominoes. It only took about 30 seconds. The reason for such a spectacular particular fall is the miscalculation of the designers. It turned out that the weight of the concrete supports was insufficient to bear the heavy metal elements, so just a light gust of wind was enough for the whole structure to fall to the ground in a neat row. Well, it took the workers a couple of hours to fix the fence, until the next windy day, apparently. Incredible courage. The next amazing story happened in Vancouver. One day, an ordinary Canadian Larry Skopnik was in a grocery store. A strange noise from the cash register caught his attention. After an employee refused to accept a suspicious $50 bill, one of the buyers threatened her and was already reaching for the cash register, but Larry was there to help. One thing though, he has been confined to a wheelchair for 10 years, though that didn't stop him. The attacker apparently didn't consider the guy a threat, or simply didn't notice him. Larry quickly grabbed the robber by the torso and started to fight him, falling to the floor from his chair. Thanks to his courage, the store employee was safe, and the criminal was delayed for enough time for the police to arrive. Food Symphony. Anyone who's ever played music knows that good instruments don't come cheap. You need to buy a bunch of cables, sound amplifiers, effects processors, and other tools. But what if we could play music using the stuff around us? Well, this very question was addressed by a brilliant Russian startup, Playtronica. The device developed by the startup is a MIDI controller that allows you to play any conductive material and object, for example, vegetables, soap, clay, or water. Special wires connect the device to the objects, and thanks to simple programming, you can play a specific note or sound on any instrument. The result is an orchestra that can perform real music. By the way, after the premiere of their hit product, Playtronica engineers presented a new release, a controller which allows you to play music on a human body using the same approach. Shark Charmer. Cristina Zanato is a world-renowned diver from Italy who's famous for her incredible friendship with reef sharks. The girl not only feels safe with these creatures underwater, but also knows how to do amazing tricks with their help. For example, Cristina can tip a 3-meter shark and hold it on her palm. The Italian knows how to mesmerize the shark by touching special points on their faces. But don't think that a scuba diver uses her skills just for fun. For example, a few years ago, she saved an unfortunate shark which had the remains of fishing tackle sticking out of its mouth. Forecast with a twist. Sometimes news anchors have to work in harsh conditions. For example, recording stand-ups near the military zones or in very bad weather conditions. For example, here's a story that happened in the Chinese city of Dalian. The reporter talks about the weather forecast near a raging hurricane, and suddenly a lightning bolt strikes his umbrella right in the middle of a live broadcast. In the slow-motion video, you can clearly see how the journalist screams in surprise and throws the umbrella away. As he recalls at the moment of impact, he saw a scattering of yellow sparks flying from his hand. Fortunately, the reporter wasn't injured, only a bit scared. And well, he also gained fame on the internet, of course. The Christmas Thief. Do you remember the green monster, the Grinch, who steals gifts from children on Christmas Eve? The first movie about him was released in 1966, but it seems the Grinch isn't going to abandon his plans to ruin Christmas anytime soon. A few years ago, the prankster was busted by the police of the American city of Dartmouth, right at the window of a local house. A little later, and Christmas would have been ruined for the local kids. Elderly stuntman. Remember when in the 2000s, along with skateboarding culture, BMX racing suddenly became the next hot thing? By the way, an interesting story. This type of bicycle was originally invented for training kids. The fact is that a BMX was supposed to be a bike motocross trainer, but in the 60s, most motorcycles for kids were too large, so that's why a hybrid bike was invented. Usually this kind of sport is supposed to be for teens, but this elderly man proves that seniors can also do it. Any teen would be jealous of his bike riding skills. Squirrel buffet. Man has long invented birdhouses, but squirrels also need a place to live. Apparently, the author of this video thought so when he made a real buffet for squirrels on the fence of his house. Well, the animals, it seems, appreciated the idea a lot. Hold on a second. Do you want to see some crazy stories from real life? Nothing dull, only action, only adventures, chases and fights, love confessions and sudden betrayals. Don't believe us? Well, follow the link and see for yourselves. Our animation channel Private Diary reveals the deepest secrets. Don't forget to subscribe.